folks, DeeDee here today with our Mixed Media Moods, which is a monthly collaboration between Jen Ingle, Mixed Media Jen, and myself, where we provide you with these glorious mood boards and then create a project underneath our camera, film in the whole thing, then we bring it to you, full tutorial, start to finish, all the information, how to make it, the products we use, the stuff we love, the things we're inspired by, and yeah, we just got good stuff going. So this is the project that I'll be working on this month. It's called Boundless, and I was actually looking for some vintage text to finish it off, but in the end, I didn't have it, and so I just went with how the project ended on its own, and then decided just to tell you that it's called Boundless. I am working on these chipboard tags that I offer at UmWowStudio. They are made with our signature craft chipboard, super thick, super sturdy. They come in all kinds of sizes. We have a mix lot of one of each size, and then each size also comes in its own package. Some of them have multiples. That really giant one only comes one in a package because it's so big, but you can get them in lots of various ways. And then they also have the reinforcements. So I used some golden heavy matte gel medium to glue them together, the two different size tags, and I will have all of the information, the more specific like links and product details in the description box. So if you need to know more, like exactly what size tag I'm using, etc., that will be there. I can tell you that the large tag on the bottom is the number 8, size 8 shipping tag. And so those tag sizes are really standard, and you'll see them in shipping tags and notices, dies, tag section, geez Louise, what's going on here? Like tag packs, selections of tags, things like that. So, yeah, so size 8 is that bottom one, and then the top one maybe like a size 5, and then I just gel mediumed them together, and I set something really heavy on them while they dried, and then when I came back, I'm using a Liquitex Gesso, and I'm brushing it on with sort of a brush that's been wrecked, and I say that because the bristles are kind of hard, so it's more like a dry brush rather than a wet brush when I'm covering my tags in gesso, and then I dried that. So between the surface of the chipboard and the dry brushing that I did with this kind of wrecked brush, I was able to mimic that wood look that's happening from the mood board, that sort of gray on white toned wood that's there. And so then I kind of sparked my fancy little brain, and I said, what if I got out my shading gray golden high flow acrylic and then did the same thing with that brush stroke, and I added some fake wood grain, some faux wood grain, so it looks really good. And then I dried everything and I got out some thread. Now I am using black thread, and this specifically is by Coats and Clarks, Coat and Clarks, yeah, something like that. Coats and Clark. I think it's Coats and Clark. But it's a little bit of a more expensive thread, and so you don't have to use something so expensive because this thread is what I sew all of my projects with in my machine. So it's a nice thread. I think it's like $3 per 250 yards or something like that. It's not super expensive, but they have cheaper threads for things like this, where you're sort of just wrapping them around something or using them as a texture rather than an actual sewing supply. So don't use your really expensive threads for this part. When you're wrapping stuff around and just creating a texture or a background, use your cheaper ones, like your 50-cent spool, the kind of crappy stuff you can get anywhere. And then just to be sure, I gel mediumed the back of that super hard because I want those strings to be really taut, but I also want them to be really sturdy, and I don't want them to break or fall apart or slip down on my tag because I've got lots of stuff going on. So I know that I'm going to work on lots of layers, and I've been really, really happy lately with where my artwork has been, and I haven't made anything that I don't like in a very long time, and I feel like that's a really good place to be in. And so I knew like I'm enjoying where I'm at in my layering and in all the things I'm doing. So I'm confident enough to know that, hey, I need some extra stability behind here. So I gel mediumed those the thread down. Now I'm coming in with some colors of Amsterdam acrylic. I'm going to start with the Amsterdams, and I do not 100% have those names memorized, but they will be in the supply list for you below. So I've used this turquoise color and a yellow green or a green yellow, and then a little bit of Titan buff or like bone color, and some of that shading gray, a tiny bit of by the golden, to get this color that I'm going for. So I didn't quite get there, and that's totally okay. But I was aiming for that green, that water image from the mood board that's in the bottom right hand corner, and it's just the most delicious green. And I'm probably going to have to see if I can't find it pre-made in a bottle because it is so glorious. But I'm using it on this piece as like a tone to set the tone of the whole thing. And so I use those colors to sort of get myself there, get as close as I could. And then I'm using Prussian blue. And I actually didn't realize that I had grabbed the Prussian blue. I thought that it was my Payne's Gray, and I couldn't find my Payne's Gray bottle of Amsterdam. So I did the same thing with the Prussian blue. I watered it down and I kind of fed it into all these threads and fibers and this texture that's happening. And I'm using water. I'm using my UmWowStudio squirt bottle. I am using muslin to sop up sort of that extra stuff. And then I'm heating my layers in between. And then I decided to get out, because I had intended to, from the beginning, get out my Liquitex Payne's Gray. So this is a soft body paint. So I have to add not quite a bit, but I have to still add a bit of water to it to get it to be more fluid like I like. And then I did a little bit of splattering with it, and I'm just sort of heating back and forth. And you can see at the top of the tag there where those the splatters spread out. That's because the tag was wet there. It had a really fine mist from that UmWowStudio squirt bottle still kind of hanging out up there. And then I am getting out some more chipboard pieces. So this one, oh, sorry, I had to pause there. Okay, so this is UmWowStudio chipboard again. So I designed these pieces. 99% of the products at UmWowStudio right now are designed by me. So that's my company, in case you're not familiar with that. I have branched out to some other artists, and we'll have some really cool stuff coming up coming up soon. I also have right now some pieces by Lynn Forsyth, so those are really cool too, some foliage type stuff. But I grabbed this sun and moon, and I'm gessoing the heck out of it. And then I only really want the starbursty, the rays that are behind it. I love them so much. And I love this sun and moon. If you've been following me for a while, or if you haven't and you're new, I love celestial stuff. I love it so much. I love suns, moons, stars, planets, skies, space, galaxies, the universe. I love it all. I am also a little bit of a sci-fi nerd, so that's kind of cool too. Not sure if you know that, but so I wanted the rays that are expanding, and then I knew that I wanted to layer a star on it. So I do love the sun and moon piece by itself, but I wanted to play with some stars and some expanding stars in this piece. So kind of like that galaxy type feel that's coming from part of the mood board. So I covered this guy in gesso, same Liquitex gesso. I love it so much. And then I am using that shading gray again. This time I'm applying it with my fingers. I did try to apply it with that fan brush, but it wasn't looking so hot. I wasn't a big fan of how that was going because the fan brush makes very straight strokes, and the rays have that beautiful curve to them. So I did better just applying it with my fingers. And then you can see there I have sort of like a stash of stuff on my desk, things I've worked on for other projects, or maybe jumping off points or inspiration or stuff like that. So all the things that I'm bringing onto my desk now are from that area. This really dark gray lace is a crocheted lace from May Arts, and I have a small amount of it left. What I love to do is clip it and then like kind of scruff it up so that it becomes a texture element. The lighter gray is a cheesecloth that I dyed in my Mad Matter workshop that I host with Tina Walker. also that we're doing in Vegas this fall and again in the spring in Pennsylvania. So if you want to do the Mad Matter, send me a message. The layered stars are from UmWowStudio's Layered Stars pack. They are just something I had sitting on my desk that was layered up for something else that I didn't end up using, so they came in perfect for this. And in the top left-hand corner, you can see there is this, it's called a Finch. It's by Relics and Artifacts. It's this really glorious resin bird that I had. I can't remember what I was going to do with it. It is already the perfect colors for this project from the alteration that I did previously. Same sort of steps, gesso, paint, water, you know, grungy gray, lots of really good stuff happening. And so I pulled that out, and I wasn't at this point sure if I was going to use it yet, but because it matched so well with the color, I set it to the side. Now here on the star, what I've been working on is matching those colors and that feel that I have going on the layered chipboard base, the tags that I've already worked on for the background. I'm getting the same sort of feel happening on these layered stars. Now I want to talk again about that green that I made for based on the ocean image, because I love that green, but I loved more the blues and the grays and the blacks and the darkness and the grunginess and sort of the moodiness that's happening in this mood board, which is kind of funny. So I wanted to use that oceany green color from the bottom right hand corner as just sort of like almost like a hazy sort of mood setter. Like I didn't want it to be a huge in your face portion, but I didn't want to leave it out of this project either, because the tone is so beautiful with these darker, moodier blues that are happening. So I use it, and I really like spread it out and make it really thin so that it's sort of just little hints of it here and there. And then on the star, it was a little too green. So I did use some gesso to cover that back up, but you still get the feel for that. And then I also used a really stiff brush to do some dry brushing on top of the star. So it knocked some of the color back, because as much as I want the color to move forward on this piece and to be in all the beautiful layers, I really wanted the color intensity to be in the background and then all of my layers on top to be a little bit more neutral. So I did some dry brushing with the gesso, and then I used gel medium to adhere all these layers together. So it's like tag base, tag, thread, and then I've done some paint, and then there's gel medium, and there's chipboard, and there's 2 layers of fibers, and then there's chipboard and chipboard, and so there's lots of really good stuff going on here. But then I thought, why don't we take this dimension to the next level? I love that bird so much. It's the perfect color. I don't have to do anything to it. So we're just gonna, don't tell anybody, I chopped its legs off. I know they're kind of scraggly and they weren't really fitting in with my project right. And I think maybe I put too much paint on them when I was altering it before, but that's okay. I just cut them off. It looks fine, I swear. He's fine. He's totally not mutilated. And then I used some Sari ribbon, some 100% recycled silk Sari from UmWowStudio, and sort of bound up my bird. And then I had a piece of just like really thin silk that I had rust dyed previously, and so I wrapped that all around it too. And then this is sort of being inspired by that flame that's in the image on the mood board, and mine's a little more rusty, not quite as orange, but it still has a nice contrast, especially blues and oranges. They're complementary colors, so they contrast really well and they look really beautiful next to each other. And I just gel mediumed the heck out of that bird. So he's plaster himself, but then I've got all these chipboard pieces underneath. So when I wrap him with fabric, with fibers, the gel medium is going to soak into the fibers, and then it's going to soak into the chipboard, and everything actually becomes really nice and sturdy. Then now I'm working on this little piece. I call these artist bundles. I actually learned about these from Tina Walker. And so this piece of of wood is driftwood. It's reclaimed driftwood from Italy. I bought it on Etsy. Totally not gonna lie, that's exactly where I got it. You can find some really cool supplies on Etsy. I don't. Oh, also, really quick. If you click links that I have for supplies, they are affiliate links. I do make a small portion of your sale on those. It's at no extra cost to you. It's just a funny little way to support us, to support me, to support Jen. Our videos are free to you. So if you're purchasing from any of the reputable places that we link to, please click our link first, and then a small portion of your purchase actually gets rewarded to us. So I say that because except for Etsy. So I don't have an affiliate with Etsy. I don't know if they make one, but that's exactly where I bought this little piece of driftwood, and I have a big selection of it. I got it from a girl who sells it, who picks it up in Italy. So I thought that was really cool. And then this artist bundle just has some of those same fibers and the thread wrapped around it. And you can see I switched from a metal wire back to that black thread. And I put some little beads on it. There's some gesso. I used the same kind of little paint colors on the wood. And then I wrapped it all together really tight, knotted it, and glued it on the bottom there. And that's it for this project today. So I did mention earlier that I was looking for some vintage text. I thought there was sort of, I could put it in that empty space that would say bound, but not boundless. And I thought that that would be really cool, or boundless, not bound, something like that. Anyways, it didn't really matter in the end because it was really specific what I was looking for, and I just couldn't catch it in my in my selection of vintage text. I couldn't quite get the words to work out, and that's okay because this piece is really, really cool. So please subscribe here to watch more of my videos. You can also click Jen's image, go straight over to Jen, see what she's doing, join our Facebook group, share your projects, check us out on Instagram, subscribe here for more videos, click the bell if you want notifications, and I'll see you around, guys. As always, thank you. Bye.